Okay. So if she does, but please pass on to her that if there's any subpoenas or orders like that, just flip them to me by email, and because I want my lawyers to respond to that. So no search and destroy raids, no SWAT-style bust down the door raids, Phyllis. Do we have an agreement on that?
A few weeks ago, I released a hidden camera video that I secretly recorded of two cops interrogating me because I wrote a book that criticized their boss, Justin Trudeau. It was nuts. These were 30-year veterans of the Mounties, now working for Elections Canada, asking me weird questions like, why did I hire people at our news company who didn't like Trudeau?
All right, so moving forward. So for the book, you seek volunteers that, and without going back to the tape to get the exact quote, that wanted to have had a certain view on Trudeau and Gerald Butts and believed in free speech, and that were embarrassed by the Prime Minister Trudeau in blackface, and you sought that specific type of person. Is that correct?
If you haven't seen the whole video yet, it's at SaveRebelNews.com, along with the letter I received from the Elections Commissioner back in December that started this investigation. Anyways, I guess that hidden video was so shocking to Canadians because more than 500,000 people watched it. I thought for sure after we broadcast that Trudeau would be too embarrassed to continue. I mean, who ever heard of police hauling in book authors for questioning in a small windowless room in a high security government office like we were in China or something? Who would do that?
There's a level of admiration I actually have for China because their basic dictatorship.
Oh, right. Trudeau would do that. I guess this is going to turn out badly. Well, after that interrogation, my free speech lawyers fired off a scorching letter to Elections Canada demanding that they drop the investigation and listing the legal reasons why. You can read their letter at SaveRebelNews.com also. My lawyers made a bunch of good points, ranging from the obvious, publishing a book during an election is not a crime, to pointing out sloppy police work. The two cops failed to read me my constitutional rights before interrogating me. In the States, that's called Miranda rights. In Canada, it's called a charter caution. They just didn't do that. There were other irregularities, too. The cops refused to show me the complaint or tell me who complained or even tell me what was in the complaint.
So you won't tell me who the complaint is? The complainant is. That's a secret?
Yeah, no, not at this point.
They just wouldn't tell me at all about the complaint, but for some reason, they had no problem telling pro-Trudeau reporters about the complaint. That's so weird. Now, I showed you most of the interrogation video that I filmed that day, but not all of it. In fact, I don't think I showed you the worst part of it. I've got 3 more clips I'll show you today, and then I'll show you a new letter that I received from these cops just yesterday. And I'll show you my reply that I sent today. I promise you will want to stick around for that. So just to refresh your memory, these cops refused to show me the complaint against me. They refused to tell me who complained. But this isn't my first run-in with Trudeau's bullies. You might remember back in October, Trudeau's hand-picked Elections Debate Commission banned our Rebel News journalists from attending the leaders' debates. Just banned us. So we immediately appealed to the Federal Court of Canada, and we won. We asked for what's called a judicial review, and we won an emergency injunction. A judicial review is just what it sounds like, a real judge in a real court looking over these insane decisions, reviewing them. Crazy decisions made by Trudeau's hand-picked flunkies. So when I was being interrogated by these elections cops about my book, I told them that I was going to appeal whatever they did to a real judge in a real court. So it was important that they keep all their records, all their notes, and not shred them or anything. And I asked them to make me a promise that they wouldn't destroy the copy of the secret complaint they had, because surely the judge would want to see that. So I asked them to undertake to disclose that key document, the complaint, when I take them to a real court. And they simply refused.
Do you always hide the complaint from people you're investigating?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We don't hide the complaints. The complaints are what initiates the investigation to determine if the facts are actually what they are, and then the commission can make a decision in the end if in fact the act was breached or not.
Do you ever show the complaint to people you're investigating?
If there's a disclosure, going to court, these documents will be part of the disclosure package.
So you're saying right now that when this goes to court, the complaint will form part of the record that you disclose? Are you committing to that now? Are you undertaking that?
In those cases that there actually is required disclosure.
Well, hey, Tim, look at you now correcting your buddy. What's that the second time now, eh?
So exactly what I said.
Paul, I want an undertaking from you right now. When we appeal this to judicial review, will you or will you not release the complaint?
We're far from being at that stage right now. We're collecting facts. How can I answer something that's perhaps in the future?
No, I can guarantee you, as long as I live and breathe, I will appeal anything from your office to judicial review. And so I'm asking you to undertake right now to disclose any complaints. And I see Tim's shaking his head, no!
Well, no, because he has no authority to give that. He has no authority.
Okay, do you, Tim?
No, I don't carry the authority for that.
So you're saying you won't? You're saying you will not undertake, even when this thing goes to court, you're not going to give us the complaint. What country do you think you're living in?
What? I can guarantee you that if these Trudeau book cops think they can ban my book, I will take them to court. I mean, surely they know that about me by now. And yet they wouldn't agree to preserve the key document. They say they couldn't agree to that. I think we need to go to court, don't you? I think these cops need to be reminded by a real judge just what country they're in. Hey, let me show you another weird moment on video. It was near the end of the interrogation. And I asked them if they had a copy of my book. You know, the one they're investigating, the one they claim is illegal, the one they're asking me about. And they said no. They didn't have it. They hadn't read it. They're investigating a book. They say it's an illegal book, and our promotion of that book is illegal, but they've never actually even read it?
Do you guys have copies of the book? Do you want me to autograph them?
No.
No, you don't have a copy, you know you don't want an autograph.
Well, we don't have a book.
You don't want the book? You don't have the book? That thing's a bestseller. It went to #2 on Amazon.ca. Do you want a copy of the book?
No, thanks.
How about you, Paul?
No, thank you.
You don't want a copy of the book? I tell you, it's sold more than the other 23 books combined about Trudeau. You should read it. No, you guys aren't readers. You're more book burners, I guess.
What on earth is that tomfoolery? That's weird. And the refusal to agree that they disclose the complaint to us when we appeal to a court is weird. A judge is going to put these guys in their place for this. So we were nearing the end of the interrogation, and I was trying to figure out what's going to happen next. I wasn't particularly cooperative with them. Remember, I had asked these two cops what documents of mine they wanted. They wouldn't give me their document, the complaint. I said, what do you want from me? It was sort of absurd. They wouldn't tell me what they wanted from me, but they wanted it anyways. Remember this? What documents, if any, do you want from me?
At this point, I'm not sure. We need to have a conversation to understand what your point of view was on the actual signs and determine when they were actually produced and to what means. And from there, we'll see later if you have any documentation that you want to provide us, we'll be more than happy to accept whatever you want to provide.
That's pretty weird, eh? So at the end of my interrogation, I asked these cops to make me a promise, an undertaking as it's called. And I offered to make them an undertaking in return. I said, if they decide to get any documents from me, they should just ask me or my lawyers. Don't raid our Rebel News offices like we're some Hells Angels clubhouse or something. I follow the law. If I don't like the law, I'll go to court to challenge it. but I'm not going to flee to Mexico with my secret book notes about Trudeau or something. Canada's not that bad yet. I'll stay and fight. So I said, hey guys, can we agree that if you decide you want any particular documents from me, just ask. Don't smash down our doors. Don't raid our office SWAT team style like I'm a terrorist. And here's what they said.
If you do choose to subpoena things, just reach out to me with an email, and I'll connect you to my free speech lawyers right away. So no need to serve me. Like, I'll accept service. I'll just flip it to my lawyer, and he'll accept service right away to speed that process up. Because if that happens, I want to get rolling super fast, guys.
And any communication would be done by the lead investigator.
Okay, and who's that? Mélanie Gijou?
No, on the letter.
Oh, Laura Panettone? Louise Panettone. I keep thinking Peloton when I look at her name. All right, so if she has anything to say, she'll send me an email, is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay. So if she does, but please pass on to her that if there's any subpoenas or orders like that, just flip them to me by email, and because I want my lawyers to respond to that. So no search and destroy raids, no SWAT-style bust down the door raids, fellas. Do we have an agreement on that? You're not going to do that. And I'm saying, if you need something from me, if you need documents.
If we need something to you, we're going to reach out to you.
So,
by email.
okay, so you're undertaking right now that you will not raid rebel offices without notice to me in advance. Are you undertaking that now?
As I said before, we can't undertake.
You cannot. You're the investigator, Tim, and you're saying you will not undertake to me that if you want a document, you'll email me instead of breaking down the door with a warrant. Is that, you will not give me that undertaking here, Tim?
I don't think anyone's going to break down the door.
I didn't ask you if you thought they would. I asked you to undertake not to. You won't undertake not to raid the offices of Rebel News. Do you know what country you're in, Paul? You call in an author. He says, if you want a document, send me an email and we'll send it to lawyers. Don't do a raid on my offices, and you won't give me that undertaking. You guys need an attitude readjustment from the highest court in the land, and I swear, as God is my witness, you will get one.
They wouldn't make me that promise. They said they didn't think they would raid our offices, but they wouldn't rule it out. They wouldn't promise it wouldn't happen. Now, what are the odds of them doing a SWAT team raid on our office? I mean, they're not that crazy, are they? And you heard that one cop, he didn't think it would happen, but he refused to rule it out. So maybe I was just being a bit paranoid. Then again, I would never have thought that a book author would be interrogated for an hour about his book. So maybe it's not that paranoid to ask them not to smash into my office and scare all our staff. And like I said, I had my lawyers send them a stern letter a few weeks ago. So I sort of thought we were done this whole thing, that they had given up this whole insane investigation of me. I thought they're done. I thought they're not even going to proceed against me. They would just go away quietly. And the idea that they would do some sort of raid on our office for documents, come on, that's just nuts. All my worries about this were being overblown, exaggerated. No way they're going to keep on going. No way they'd ever consider a raid. But then my lawyers got this email from them just yesterday morning about my documents. Considering we have not received any documents from your client, we understand that your client does not intend on submitting documents to the Office of the Commissioner of Canada Elections. Should this not be the case, please advise as soon as possible. Regards, Louise Panettone. As soon as possible, she says. Right after I released my first video, they sent my lawyers a letter asking for my documents by the end of February. We ignored it, thinking they were going to go away. But their deadline arrived. The end of February was over the weekend, you'll recall. So first thing Monday morning, they sent a terse email demanding to know if I was going to hand over documents or not. Right now, as soon as possible, she said. Or else. Or else what?
Okay. So if she does, but please pass on to her that if there's any subpoenas or orders like that, just flip them to me by email, and because I want my lawyers to respond to that. So no search and destroy raids, no SWAT-style bust down the door raids, Phyllis. Do we have an agreement on that?
I think they're serious. I think they're crazy, but I think they're serious. If I don't hand over all my author's notes, all my editorial research on Trudeau, all of my plans for the book, they specifically asked for my book plans, I think they're going to prosecute me. I think they might subpoena my editorial notes, but the sound of that letter, as soon as possible, sounds like they're out of patience. I worried about this. That's why I asked them not to raid our offices. I asked them to promise just to email me or my lawyers about it or serve us a subpoena that we would fight in court, but don't raid us, please. But they wouldn't make that promise. So I'm between a rock and a hard place now. Either I hand over our internal private notes from my book, violating my freedoms and my privacy as a Canadian, or they attack me, at best through the courts, and at worst through a raid on our physical offices, maybe even on my home. Part of me thinks I should be scared, but part of me thinks this whole thing is a stupid joke. I mean, we're still in Canada, right? This must be a joke, right? So after thinking about it, I asked our lawyers to respond to the cops for me just one more time. I asked my lawyers to buy me a little bit of time, buy me one more day. I told my lawyers that I had decided that, in fact, I would be giving them a key private document to Trudeau's election investigators, just one page, our editorial strategy document that reveals everything. And so I did. I sent our key document to Trudeau's cops today by email, 5 minutes before publishing this video, in fact. It was illegal for them to ask. Why should I have to participate in their kangaroo court? Why should I have to tell Trudeau's cops my plans for my book, give them my notes? But if I didn't, they might literally break down our door. So here's what I sent them. I sent this to them. I swear I did. I swear I did. It's a joke. Just like Trudeau's a joke. Just like Trudeau's debates commission is a joke. Just like Trudeau's election cops are a joke. Just like Trudeau's respect for the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is a joke. And just like Canada's so-called civil liberty groups are a joke. Not one of them fights for free speech anymore, at least not for conservatives like me. So this is it. This is my top secret plan for my book. It's a cartoon, so Trudeau can understand it, the moron. The guy wearing the marijuana shirt with the cool hair, that's Trudeau. You can see this strategy document up close for yourself at SaveRebelNews.com if you want. There's me with my book, and there's our lawn signs. There's our master plan, but it's top secret. Don't tell anyone. What? What? Did you actually think I was going to hand over my editorial notes to these clowns and bullies? I would go to jail first, and you know what? Maybe I'll have to, but not without the fight of my life first. It's about to get real now. As soon as possible, they said. Now, we've taken some steps here at Rebel News to protect our assets from illegal raids. I am ready to fight. I think I'm going to need your help on this one. I think it's time to hand the big fight over to the lawyers a little more seriously than the cartoon. I'm using the same two young lawyers who crushed Trudeau at that federal court last October when the debate commission tried to censor us. Aaron and David, you've met them before. Trudeau sent 5 government lawyers against them, burnt up $131,000 in taxpayers' money, and it still wasn't even close. Our guys crushed them. David and Aaron are handling this file now too, so I think we're going to win. Except this time we're up against a much bigger monster, bigger budget, and a deeper anger. I'm not sure if I told you this, but last year, my book, The Libranos, it reached number 2 on the Amazon.ca list, bestsellers, but then it faded a bit. But after I broadcast my hidden camera video of their interrogation of me, that book finally shot up to #1, the #1 best-selling book in Canada. Crooked Trudeau tried to silence me. He actually got more people to read the book than ever. That's why Trudeau has 5 investigators on this case that we know about. There are probably more, but you know what? We're going to win, and we're going to uproot and overturn this unconstitutional law in the process. I just need your help to cover my legal bills. Please go to SaveRebelNews.com. Look, this is heavy stuff. Free speech is in jeopardy. Police are bullying authors. There are illegal searches and seizures in the wind. The rest of the media party is staying silent. They've all been paid off by Trudeau's media bailouts. So it's up to us now. Help me do this serious work, and then have a laugh with me. Have a laugh with me. Because if we don't have the right to laugh, what's left? We still do have that right. You can download a free copy of my top secret 1-page strategy document right there on the page at SaveRebelNews.com. I think it's pretty funny. And you gotta laugh. My friends, now let's go and fight and win. Trudeau's election police have demanded that I hand over my private editorial plans for my book about him, so I sent them this cartoon. I'm guessing they're going to prosecute me now. Help me out at SaveRebelNews.com. Thanks.